Estamos aquí para denunciar una serie de asesinatos que el pseudo presidente Calderón, tolerado por el gobierno del norte Obama, viene a recibir las órdenes cuando los mexicanos más tienen que morir en su sangrienta guerra. Como mexicanos, simpatizantes de la paz, no podemos permanecer mudos ante esta trágica masacre que se perfila en nuestro país del sur, México. Calderón tiene que denunciar, tiene que llevarse a una corte internacional. No tiene motivo para seguir asesinando mexicanos. Un presidente indigno y falso no puede representar ningún país. La venta de esta tierra mexicana a través de este falso presidente está en camino. Las visas a cielo abierto entre Canadá y Estados Unidos repartiéndose por mí. La contaminación de ríos, suelos, aires, tenemos que pararlo. La humanidad no puede permanecer callada ante esta ola de situaciones que están en contra de la humanidad. Ecologistas, ambientalistas, amantes de la paz, tienen que denunciar esta bola de asesinos que se reparten el botín como buitres. Tenemos que pararlos. Estamos aquí denunciando que Calderón pareciera que ser un representante de Estado viniera a recibir órdenes de su
DEA website. I know Barack doesn't like to say that, but they come from Mexico. Mexico.
Ante una trágica situación.
Hey, you know where the drugs come from? Mexico, baby. No, I ain't kidding you. Mexico. No, really. Could someone stand up there and say, hey, B-Rock, you know that border you want to keep open? That's where the drugs come across. You know Officer Jamie, the ICE agent who was killed in Mexico, killed. Yep, B-Rock doesn't care. B-Rock, Michelle talks about obesity, baby. You know the good thing about drug addicts? They're skinny. Drug addicts are skinny. Michelle would love drug addicts, because drug addicts are skinny, baby. Michelle's talking about breastfeeding and obesity. And our kids are smoking it, baby. Shooting it.
El disque tratado, NAFTA, que ha destruido México y que en parte repartiéndose México como un botín, como un cadáver, repartiéndose sus despojos entre Canadá y Estados Unidos. No podemos permanecer testigos mudos y ciegos ante esta trágica situación. La venta del país a través de este comerciante de pacotilla, pseudo presidente Calderón, tiene que pararse. México, con un presidente falso que se apoderó de la silla presidencial bajo un método fraudulento, no podemos permitir que siga en su despojo y en la venta de este país, hermano. Tenemos que pararlo, tenemos que insistir que un gobierno no puede representarse en un
Papa, no del pastor, solo en la Biblia.
Americans and other non-Muslims who want so much for this interpretation of Sharia to be true that they live in a state of denial. Wake up. Get out of your denial. There is no difference in the Sharia of Imam Chaudhry and Imam Rauf. There is only a difference in the approach of implementation. Chaudhry blusters and threatens. Rauf adds a spoonful of sugar to disguise the poison. Either way, Sharia is poison. Poison to American rule of law, poison to freedom, and poison to the billions of people forced to live under its domination. Thank you.
Woo! That was Faith McDonald. Thank you so much, from the Institute on Religion and Democracy. Let me just make a concluding point, and then we'd be happy to take questions if you'd like. We are not assailing individuals' rights to practice their faith in a manner that is consistent with the Constitution of the United States. We are determined to oppose what is demonstrably a seditious political program masquerading as a faith, but with the express purpose of destroying our country. To the extent that that is the activity in question, it is not a protected practice of religion. It is, in fact, designed to destroy freedom of religion, along with the other freedoms we hold dear. For that reason, we call, again, on President Obama to stand expressly, publicly, immediately against Sharia, against its insinuation into this country, and against those who would impose it on other countries. This is fundamental to our freedoms. Without it, we will not have them long. And we must, I believe, come together as a people to ensure that this kind of program is prevented from encroaching here or elsewhere at the expense of those who hold liberty dear. We're delighted by those who could join us on very short notice to participate in this educational moment. We represent millions of Americans across this country who feel the same way. We're becoming increasingly aware of this problem and increasingly engaged in trying to prevent it. We reach out to them in solidarity and in conviction that it is time to take a stand to keep Sharia free America.
We have another speaker who's coming. He's on his way. He has lived under Sharia. Khalid Jerez. He's coming from Nubia, from the Free Nubia organization. He'll be here very shortly. We also have this statement by Tafiq Hamid. I read that. Okay,
yeah,
great.
we've got one more speaker coming, and we will hopefully be able to keep you with us for his appearance, because I think there's nothing like having somebody who has actually experienced this firsthand, as Dr. Tafiq Hamid has done, to speak to the menace that it represents. But for the moment, let us take a few questions if you have any. Go ahead, sir.
Frank, first of all, we really appreciate what you're doing for this country, but it's a little disheartening not to see the leaders of the various resistance groups, whether it be Maximum America. We need the groups to get on the same page, check their egos at the door, and support each other. And more importantly, we need the Tea Parties to wake up and get with it. We're not, Frank, I love you, and we're here. Some of us came from Florida, you know, but I don't want to have a, look, we need more people. We need people to get involved, and the Tea Parties have the massive numbers. They saw the threat to America with the fiscal irresponsibility. Certainly they can be made to understand the threat that America has from Sharia.
Let me just say, on behalf of those who could not be here, I wouldn't hold it against them. This was organized on very short notice. I think there's tremendous solidarity among folks. I've seen very little problem with respect to egos in this matter. I think we are really joined as a community of Americans who appreciate the danger and want to work together. So the call to do that is certainly very strongly endorsed. Let me just add that I think the Tea Party movement does understand this. They simply have not focused on it as much as they need to. Our purpose, in part, with Sharia, the Threat to America, this book, with the work that these several groups are doing and that many others who could not be here are doing, is to try to ensure that those people who understand indeed the importance of our Constitution have the information they need to counter this threat to it, which is every bit as mortal as that from the fiscal indiscipline. Khalid, let me ask you to join us. Thank you so much. Your timing is perfect. Khalid Jerez from Rescue Nubia.
Thank you. My name is Khalid Jerez. I'm a member of Rescue Nubia and my name is Khalid Jerez. I'm from Nubia, far north of Sudan, member of Rescue Nubia, co-founder of Nubia Project. Hi, everybody. I just want to address one issue, what concerns the Nubians. Nubian land in south of Egypt and north of Sudan is under destruction by the Muslims, Arabs, destroying the historical sites of Nubia. Nubian history, as you know, goes back to the early time of Christianity. Christianity introduced to Nubia in 34 AD, when the treasurer of Kendaka met Philip in south of Urushalim, as you know on the Old Testament. The Nubian, as a Nubian American, I ask my fellow American to help us to preserve the culture of Nubia and not let the Islamo-Arabists to destroy our roots to the Christianity and Judaism. As Dr. Henry Oben said it in his book, Rescue of Jerusalem, the Kushite Nubian saved Kingdom of Judea in 701 BC, when the Kingdom of Judea was under siege and under destruction by the Assyrian, King Sennacherib. The Kushite Nubian saved Kingdom of Judea, and then from the Judaism comes out the Christianity as offspring. So the Nubian saved this great culture of Judeo-Christian culture in the early time. And now we are asking your help, my fellow Americans, to stop the Arabs and Muslims destroying Nubia and marginalizing Nubians and displacing Nubians from their ancestral land in the river bank in south of Egypt and north of Sudan. The Arabs, Egyptian Arabs, they removed the total population of Nubian from the river bank, and they replaced them with wealthy Arab from Gulf countries. And they're trying to do the same thing in north of Sudan by the help of petrodollars, what we call them our friends in the Gulf countries. My fellow American, U.S. government every year pay $1.5 billion to Egypt as American aid. I want to say something about this aid. This taxpayer money is coming to Africa and killing us, the indigenous Africans, the Nubians. Egyptians are trying to, Arabs, they are trying to turn the Nile as Arabian Nile. By the help of petrodollars, Arabs, they try to build what they call New Andalusia. New Andalusia, they want to build it from Alexandria all the way to the lakes. And we want to stop the American taxpayer money going to Arabia. Please, my president, Mr. Barack Obama, my Congress, stop American tax money going to Arabia. Arabs, Muslims, they are terrorizing the indigenous people in North Africa, the Kushite Nubians. I ask and urge my fellow Americans, please extend this message to your schools, to your churches, to your community, to stop the taxpayer going to funding Arab fundamentalists, Muslim fundamentalists, to destroy our culture. We have in common a lot of things. History goes back, and as I said, and my sister Faith McDonald, she wrote a beautiful article about the history of Kushite Nubians. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and God bless you all, and God bless USA. Thank you very much.
Let me make one final point, and then we'll take any other questions you have. There is a lot of talk at the moment about Islamophobia. The argument is that people who are making the kinds of information that we have known to the rest of our countrymen are somehow engaged in some kind of hate mongering. Nothing could be further from the truth. We are trying to prevent the ultimate form of hate mongering from taking hold in this country, starting with the suppression of the sorts of information that the American people must have to make informed decisions about whether they want their Constitution compromised or subverted. The point that we all have to be aware of, and it's been brought home to us in this community in the last 24 hours, is that we must not allow our freedom of speech to be suppressed, as it has been by the firing of Fred Grandy from WMAL and the dismissal of his wife, Mrs. Fred, who has gotten to be a real expert on these subjects, and who have both now been, if WMAL has its way, and the Muslim Brotherhood front organizations that have engaged in a pressure campaign against it, notably the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR. If they have their way, the American people will not have the information they need. They will not be alerted to this danger. They will be subjected, incrementally at first, but inexorably, to the threat to America from Sharia. We will not let that happen. We are here to do our part, and we call on President Barack Obama to do his, to ensure that America stays Sharia-free. With that, we would take any other questions if you have them. Yes, ma'am.
Gentleman there that brought up the Tea Party. I'm from Illinois, and I came
Anybody that's open to not doing the will of God, he's no longer Muslim.
Very good.
What they teach is that anyone non-Muslim
They are with us. I think you understand.
Some confusion about his status. I gather that he's not allowed into our country. That's right, Air Force One didn't get it. But he may have chickened out on top of it. He certainly is a self-promoter of the First Order. But to be honest with you, I don't mind him promoting publicly what a great many people are doing behind the scenes, because at least once you see Anjem Choudhury and people like him saying explicitly what they all have in mind, it actually helps do what we know needs to be done, which is to awaken the American people and get them engaged. That's right. Absolutely. Anyone else, quickly? If not, thank you very much for joining us on this spontaneous educational moment. We appreciate the tremendous work that's being done by the people who've spoken here, and the tremendous work that's being done by some of the groups that Tim Brown is pulling together and that are otherwise engaging in this fight, most especially our friends in the Tea Party, and we look forward to working even more closely with them all in the future. One more time, Sharia, the Threat to America is a terrific primer on this subject. Please check it out, pass it on, make use of it. It's authoritative. It is what you need to know to act to protect our country against Sharia. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Frank. Keep America free.
Is anybody giving a talk yet? Are they all done, basically?
Yep.
I caught in traffic coming down here from Delaware.
Just missed it. But the angry Mexicans are over there.
We came from Jersey.
I was having a stroke over there. I was having chest pains, and it's hard to get rolling. So I was planning on leaving because I think I had a mild heart attack over there by the corner. If anybody has an aspirin, I could use one.
Don't have any, I'm sorry about that.
You guys got any aspirin in your pocket?
I don't, no. Sorry.
I was having these wicked chest pains over there carrying that flag.
We don't want to, I don't want to cause you a heart attack.
Yeah, we don't want to, don't want you to keel over right now.
I won't.
Hard being coherent.
No, it's separate. Did Captain America vote for Barack Obama?
The Republicans for disabled and cap and trade and healthcare, and the Democrats are for too. What's the difference? And then all the debates when John McCain literally idolized and supported Obama, how can you have a two-party system when there's one-party issue? It's impossible.
So what would be Captain America's solution to our current troubles?
Restore our Constitution, restore our love of country. Everybody is here for only one stinking reason. Love of country, respect of Christianity, respect of the White House and the whole sanctity of the American system and the way of life. Without the American system, the way of life, without the U.S. Constitution, without Christianity, we have nothing. You take away our family principles of family, God, country, Constitution, we got nothing. We got nothing if you're taking it all away, because a country that stands for nothing dies for anything. You stand for nothing, you die for anything, and we're nothing. We need to find our founding principles. We need to remember our founding principles, and we need to remember to make this country great. Love of country, love of Christianity, and the shield that protects America, which is a U.S. Constitution. I'm the captain, and I endorse this message. That's it. Anybody got an aspirin?
No, sorry about that.
It gets amazing. I start hitting that corner, and it felt like my feet. Then I put my flag on that tree.
Scare them away. You think we had around here?
There was some other.
Aided and abetted by the one-eyed Jack. That's funny. All right.
But if we have a core group, you know, we've got a core group.
Would you like a croissant?
Well, good afternoon to each and every one of you, and certainly we are delighted to have you with us today as we are gathered together here, right from Washington, D.C. And as always, I'm Gary Dahl.
I'm Dave Kistler.
And we are delighted to be with you. A beautiful day in Washington, and hardly a cloud in the sky and cold on the ground.
Indeed it is. I don't know where the warm weather went, but it's definitely not in Washington, D.C. today. But I will say this, Gary, we have gathered around us here in Lafayette Park a number of brothers and sisters in Christ, as well as several other observers, and we're here, of course, to cover what was supposed to be a rally that was pro-Sharia law. But Gary, I'll let you share some of what's happened. The rally was canceled because Mr. Amjad Chowdhury did not make it into the country.
He didn't make it into the country, and we were told that even if he wasn't here, that part of his organization would be here. But I don't see where they've shown up as well. There are a number of people here who would be on our side, but I see nobody here on his behalf, and that's amazing to me. And somebody said that I think that he maybe understood the spirit of America and stayed away.
Well, that's what I heard several people say, that maybe he got wind of the fact that there was going to be a strong pro-American presence here, anti-Sharia presence, and so he decided not to come. Now, we're waiting to find out if the State Department maybe denied him entrance into the country, because there was some suggestions that that might be the case. We don't know that, but for whatever reason, he is not here. But there are a lot of
freedom-loving Americans here. Is that correct?
God-fearing.
And what you're hearing is some folks from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, part of a motorcycle ministry there that we got acquainted with. And so we're going to be talking to them in just a little bit, as well as several other guests that we have with us today as well.
And folks, what we just want to emphasize is that our purpose to be here in Washington, D.C. today was to really monitor what was going on, because we are Americans and we certainly do not want to see Sharia law make any kind of infiltration into our government and into our nation. And remember, Mr. Chowdhury would like to see the Sharia law take place in the United States Constitution. We can't let that happen. I mean, even though every religion has the freedom to exist in this nation we believe is a nation that was founded on biblical principles, and that's what gives the freedom of religion. If Sharia law would come into existence, Brother Dave, you and I would not be able to be allowed to practice our faith in Jesus Christ.
Not only that, Gary, but we would not be allowed to be here doing what we're doing today and have the opportunity in freedom to conduct this very radio program from right in front of the White House. So Sharia law is totally incompatible with all that is the United States of America, with everything our Constitution represents, and certainly with our Christian faith and Judeo-Christian heritage.
Absolutely. We do have some guests here that we want to share with you folks, and we're going to get some of them on, or at least one of them on right away here. His name's Dr. Terry Jones, and I'm sure that is a name that most of you know. And he's an individual who, of course, has been on the national scene for quite some time. He's with an organization called Stand Up America Now. He's written a book called Islam is of the Devil. And you might remember that not too awful long ago, he led a campaign to burn the Quran down there in Florida. And so, you know, he's all over the place. He's here today, and Dr. Jones, welcome to Freedom Focus.
Yes, thank you very much. We're glad you all came.
Well, we're glad you came, and I think most of our audience know why we are here, but why are you here the whole way up from Florida?
Yeah, well, we basically came here to challenge Mr. Chowdhury. We've talked to him on the phone. Our office has been in contact with him and his office. We basically came here for two reasons, or with a message. Number one, the message of welcome. Muslims here in America who have immigrated here, who are here legally, they're welcome in America. They're protected under our Constitution. They can worship freely. They can build mosques. That is our message of welcome to them. But we have also come here to make a very, very clear statement to Mr. Chowdhury and to other members of pro-Sharia. That is also a message of warning. We expect Muslims who are here in the country to honor, obey, and submit to our Constitution. If they desire to do that, they are welcome. We want to make it very clear that if they do not desire to do that, if they wish to change our Constitution, alter our Constitution, institute Sharia, then they are not welcome. Then we would strongly suggest that they find a country that honors Sharia, that promotes Sharia, and they should go to that country. We were here to challenge him. We believe that he canceled basically because of our challenge. As we know, Islam operates with fear and intimidation. And once you stand up with that, stand up to that, and I believe that happened. I believe that radical Islam, or Islam, the religion of fear and intimidation, ran into the American spirit of determination. And I believe because of that he canceled.
Could I ask this of you, Dr. Jones? I know we were talking earlier, and I asked you since your call for the burning of the Quran a number of months back, I asked you, had you learned anything from that experience? And you shared with me a very interesting statement. In fact, I thought it was a very profound statement about what you'd learned about Islam itself, and I'd love for you to share that with our listeners, if you would.
Yeah, I of course been asked that statement a few times, and I think the main thing that I learned about Islam is that it is much more radical than I thought it was. It is much more violent, that it definitely has a violent nature. As I said, we threatened to burn the Quran. We did not burn it. We did not break any laws, but still around the world, in Muslim-dominated countries like Pakistan, Indonesia, violence broke out in those countries. I think thus telling us that Islam has a very, very violent streak, and that we in America need to wake up, and we need to watch and monitor Islam very closely here in America.
Thank you so much.
Now that Mr. Chowdhury did not show up, and you think that maybe he sort of ran head on into the spirit of America, what do you think he's going to do now? Do you think this ends it, or are they going to come back with a double force?
Oh, I think we hope he comes back. We challenge him. We hope he's listening to this radio or gets the word. We challenge him to come to America. We challenge him with our freedom of speech. We would have welcomed him coming. We think that it would have revealed to the American people the true nature of Islam. So we would love the challenge to talk to him.
Why do you think that the Muslim Brotherhood and others want Sharia law here in the United States in the first place? I mean, they know our nation was founded upon the Judeo-biblical, Christian biblical principles, but why do they want Sharia law here?
Well, I think as we all know, the word Islam means submission anyway, and of course that's their world goal and world vision, is that Islam and Sharia law would dominate and control and govern the world.
But isn't, they want to do it peacefully, right? Because Islam's a religion of peace, right?
Yeah, I would definitely question that as we look around the world and as we look at Muslim-dominated countries. I think what Americans have to realize, it's not very important what Islam says in America or what Muslims say in America, because they're in the minority. What is important is what does a minority say and practice when that minority becomes the majority. Right. And we see in Muslim-dominated countries that they oppress Christians and minorities. So actually what they are saying here is just a force.
Gary, I just want to say this. Obviously, we have a sizable group that's gathered around us here, but really this is the best of what America is. What I'm looking at today is people who love this country. We have a gentleman standing over here to my right that has a t-shirt that says everything I ever needed to know about Islam I learned on 9/11.
Yes, I'd like for him to come in here. I've invited him over here. I like that t-shirt. Did you make that yourself?
Yes, we designed it, and here's the front.
Okay, the 10th anniversary, never forget police. Are you from New York? I see you got
I was there on 9/11.
What would you say?
I was there on 9/11.
You were there? You were at the ground zero on 9/11?
Affirmative.
Were you a part of the first responders, or what were you doing there?
I was one of the first responders.
Bless your heart. What were some of the thoughts that went through your mind on that day?
I can't put it into words. To this day, I still can't put it into words.
Yeah. Do you believe that? Islam would try to do this again if they could? I mean, are you afraid of another such a terroristic attack as happened on 9/11?
I'm not afraid of it, and I strongly believe it's going to happen again. We're going to get hit again.
Yes, sir.
What was your motivation for coming here today? How did you find out about the rally with Mr. Chowdhury? That, of course, has not materialized, but how did you learn about that? And then, why were you motivated to come?
I got an email, and in the email it said that he was coming here, and I brought my truck down. I have the 9/11 Ground Zero truck. It's got the names of all the firefighters and all the police officers who died on 9/11.
And what's your name, sir?
Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony, and exactly what did you do on 9/11?
Twice we ran as the buildings were coming down, and then we were in the pile, and we were just trying to find whoever we could.
Yeah. Were you able to find anybody and bring them out to safety?
I think I did hear about it.
That must have been just a terrible experience.
To say the least.
Now, are you still with the fire department in New York?
No.
Well, I know I get up to New York every so often, and my heart goes out to New Yorkers, and particularly every time I drive down past the Ground Zero to see those towers not there anymore. And, you know, it's just an honor to have you with us today. And even though Mr. Chowdhury didn't show up, I'm glad you did. And I want to encourage you to do this all across the nation as often as you can.
Well, the 9/11 Ground Zero truck is going to be in Baltimore. This weekend it's going to be in Belmar, New Jersey. And then it's going to be in Indianapolis on the 15th. And then it's going to be in Seattle, San Francisco, LA, Houston, and Las Vegas. And then I have to be back in New York for 9/11 because I'll be with the Patriot flag.
Well, bless your heart. And we're getting close to that 10th anniversary. And I hope we never forget it. You know that? If we forget it, that means we're going to become complacent. We can't afford to have complacency.
Well, that's the whole objective of my truck, is not to let anybody forget and make everybody aware that it will happen again.
Well,
we will let our guard down. We will let our guard down, and they will hit us.
Do you think some people have already left the guard down?
Absolutely.
Do you think government has left it down?
To say the least.
So we need to continue to have men like you and others go across this country to remind people what happened on 9/11.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Again, I forgot your name. What's your name?
Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony. Yeah, that sounds like the
forget
Roman
that.
days.
Yeah, that's a great name.
So, but thank you very, very much, Mark, and not only for being on Freedom Focus today, but also for doing what you're doing across the nation.
Gary, we have another gentleman here that is ironically from North Carolina, from the Winston-Salem area, and we obviously have not met prior to today, but we're here basically sharing the same concern about what Sharia law has as its goal and its intent to do in this country. It says on your jacket here, Pastor Sheepdog. Give us your full name and tell us a little bit about your ministry and why you came to Washington, D.C. today.
My name is Rick Aarons, and everybody refers to me as Pastor Sheepdog.
Good news, sir. God bless you, sir. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.